Yet another day of market rally. What does this mean? How high can we possibly go in this environment? Doesn't it concern you that we are getting to this level and there's not some sort of sell-off? Isn't this the sign of a bubble? Believe it or not, I think the market is going to continue to rise higher from here. And I think you can profit, particularly in certain areas of the market. And you can go back to previous videos to see how convicted I am about this call. Real estate, energy even if you don't have necessarily long-term love for the energy sector, and maybe even some commodities like gold and silver are all very well priced for the next 6 to 12 months and possibly beyond, particularly real estate because it cash flows so well, will always be here. Energy coming in next, cash flowing very well, often paying a good dividend, investing in long-term technologies like carbon capture and climate control. But I understand the skeptics, which will certainly lead to some selling pressure about the long-term potential of gas, oil and gas. And then gold doing well in inflation, which is certainly a factor that we see happening, but is really an additive factor to the two things I want to talk about now. We are seeing a historically high amount of companies beat earnings. Typically, we see companies beat analysts' expectations 65% of the time. Right now, we're seeing it happen 85% of the time. This is an incredible skewing of the data, and it comes at a time where, there are uncertainties in the economy, and there are uncertainties in the economy. That's not a shock to anyone. So maybe these analyst expectations are a little fearful and depressed, and that's why it's so easy to beat them. Well, what do these analysts do? They help people buy stocks. So I'm under the impression that there is a large sum of cash on the sidelines, and I think that impression is backed up by the fact that M2 has expanded 40% since the beginning of 2020. So there's definitely been a large increase to the money supply. And yes, this, I believe, will lead to inflation. But there's a reason why we haven't seen the effects of inflation in the market yet. And that's because there hasn't been upward wage pressure. We've been talking about this a long time. This is essentially, a big part of how Joe Biden won the presidency, how the rich have gotten richer while the people at the bottom necessarily haven't seen that same kind of increase in wealth. Obviously we've seen a lot of people take their stimulus money and put it into the market instead of a pair of shoes, but who am I to say anything about that? So with Biden's proposal of a $15 minimum wage increase, getting it up there, with the reconciliation, I guess you want to call it, of Senate power, meaning that Democrats control all three chambers of legislation, it's very likely this $15 minimum wage thing is going to happen. Obama, when he was president, for better or worse, I personally think it was for worse, but for better or worse, got Obamacare done. Not universal health care, Obamacare. So this, duo of Joe Biden and Barack Obama seems to be, yes, they're getting it done, but when they want to get it done, they're getting it done, for better or worse. So I expect this to happen. Joe Biden seems pretty optimistic about it. And I'm going to take his word for it. I think the $15 minimum wage is going to happen. And once that happens, then we have the final catalyst of inflation, which is upward wage pressure. Let's not forget, in order for the price of chicken to go up, we need the demand for chicken to go up and all of these kinds of things. And right now, the rich people aren't going to buy a marginal increase in chicken buying because they got an extra $10 million. It's not how it works. But you give, 40% of the population a 10 to 20% increase in their income, they're going to be dining out at restaurants a little more, going to Chick-fil-A a little more, all these kinds of things, throwing out food a little more. So this is the last step in inflation. I expect it to come, and in this next 6 to 12 month period, for it to take effect. So I want to be exposed to the areas which are highly susceptible to inflation. And believe it or not, these areas of the market happen to be the cheapest and most depressed areas of the market. So they present very good bargains. And I'm taking advantage of that, Mr. Market. Thank you very much for the good deal. And I suggest you do the same. This is the area of the market that I would like to buy, not the stuff that's seen massive runs, throughout 2020. This is a 2021 story, and I expect it to be a good story, believe it or not. Even with inflation, I think it's a good thing that we're going to see something like this. So we will see what happens. And until next time, peace out.